All right, 24-25 season about to get underway. I thought, why not get hold of two people who aren't going to be shy in telling us what they think is going to happen this season. One in particular, Nick Feinberg joins us, and Jeremy Harris. All right, so Premier League predictions, 24-25 season. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I get all hyped up at the beginning of a season, and then the season sucks, and then we forget about the end of the season predictions. So this time round, we're going to see who wins at the end of the season. How you guys both doing? Jeremy Harris and Nick Feinberg.
Doing good. How are you?
Good.
Good this
How you,
side,
Nick?
thanks. At last, we've got something more interesting to do on our weekends.
How long has this preseason been? Goodness me, can't actually wait for this to all begin. All right,
But I tell you what, we had the Euros, and then we had the Olympics, and we've had a bit of rugby, and it hasn't been so bad. It's like suddenly it's on us, isn't it?
On the rugby note, can we just say congratulations to you, Nick? You must be a very proud dad. Sasha doing very well.
Thanks.
The new star of
he
the
is
box.
Doing well. Thank you very much. We can move on.
Okay,
Sasha's dad.
all right.
As I'm
Sasha's
right.
dad.
Yeah. Nick's stress levels. Nick's stress levels when every time the Springboks play now is at a new high.
Absolutely. All right. So listen, guys. I wanted to get your input for Premier League predictions. So what do you think? I think let's start with the relegation battle. I think that's going to actually be a tough one this season. I know, like, it's usually one of those sort of cop-outs to say the three going up or the three going down, but that did happen last season. Is it going to happen again this season? Nick?
I think one of the three is going to stay up, and that for me is Ipswich Town, and I think the other two are going to go down. It's Leicester and Southampton, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think with them possibly only because they had they spent a lot of money and they had a bit of a dodgy season last year. They saved it in the end, and that's Nottingham Forest. So I think for me, Ipswich are going to cause ruffle a few feathers here and there, and they've got a great coach and some pretty good players in their side. So I think they stay up. Forest goes down in their place.
All right, Jay.
So I'm seeing Southampton go down. I'm actually going with Leicester and Ipswich to stay alive into the new season. And like Nick, I'm also picking Forest to find their way out of the Premier League, and also Brentford. And I mean, I think I did consider the scenario, as you said, Paulie, of 3 in and 3 out, the same 3 out. But I think that both Leicester and Southampton, I thought played some really good football to get promoted in the first place. I can't, and they've also got a bit of Premier League experience as well. So they know how to survive. They know how to guts out a result. And so I think that when it comes down to it, they'll respond to a warning that goes, you don't win this game, and we're playing in the smaller leagues again.
I've got to admit, I like Leicester and I like Southampton, and I wouldn't want to see them go, but I think they will. I think Leicester isn't as doomed as people think they are. Everybody's got them as bottom of the table, and I reckon it's going to be a close one. I do think that either one of the two small clubs, either Bournemouth or Brentford, will go. I'm probably leaning towards Brentford. And yeah, I've got to go Southampton and Leicester as well. All right, so let's deal with the top 8, because that's kind of what everybody talks about. Let's deal with, okay, first of all, who's going to win the league?
Talking to me.
Is it going to be 5 in a row?
It's not going to be Chelsea, Nick.
I tell you what, about 3 weeks ago, I checked the odds at the bookies, and Arsenal were favourites to win the league. And that's when they bought, what's his name? The Italian defender, whatever his name is. And they sort of it felt like, because Man City were fairly inactive in the transfer market, and there's been all of this sort of rumour about Pep's last season, and is De Bruyne going to be playing a full-time role this year, etc., etc. It's kind of like, in the 115, charges coming from the FA and stuff. So it's all kind of been negative news around City. Pre-season they haven't looked great, although I thought they were pretty good in the Charity Shield with a depleted squad. But I think that Manchester City are definitely winning it again. I can't see Arsenal winning it, and it's not just because I don't like Arsenal, and I really don't like Arsenal.
I
It's
don't like
because I
City,
just
so
feel that also. Well, I don't care. And I think you see the thing is that nobody cares about City because everyone
yeah.
expects them to win. They've got tons of money. It's like we had Chelsea 10, 20 years ago. Nobody really, okay, it's a bit different, but nobody cares. If City win it, it's just like, okay, good. As long as Arsenal, Man United, or Spurs or Liverpool don't win it, we don't care. But I think Arsenal, for me, they've properly settled into the Arteta era. They're
Yeah.
playing a very specific sort of football. And like last year at the big choke moment when they lost at home to Aston Villa, I think it was, right at the back end of the season where they just got beaten quite easily. They're going to get found out. For me, I think there's going to be more teams finding them out this year. They're great to watch. I hate to say it, and they're a great side. And I have to respect Arteta, although he's the most irritating little gimp on the sideline I've ever seen in my life. But I do think that some teams are going to find them out and that it's going to go Man City's way. I'm going Man City definitely for fifth in a row.
All right. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, no, definitely. In fact, I mean, I can't see by a long way anybody challenging Man City for the top of the pile. And I mean, I know that there's all of the stuff in the boardroom that talks about all of these charges coming their way. I mean, bring it, don't bring it, whatever it is. I think that you've got a team on the field who know what they need to do as well to to stay on top. I think that probably your 2 and 3. Maybe not in any particular order, but your 2 and 3 has got to be Arsenal and Liverpool. And I mean, in fact, looking at the last season's, well, I only really looked down to sort of 6, but maybe even to 8. I can't see too many changes. I mean, I know that the likes of Crystal Palace, was knocking on the door. There were some moments where we were talking about them being a permanent fixture inside the top 6, the top 8. But I think that the top 8 we ended with last season may very well be maybe just jumbled around. May very well be the top 8 that we end with this season as well.
And I think that's exactly what I have on my list as well. It's hard to see anything else and anybody else breaking into that. But listen, I can't agree with you guys both because otherwise this would be boring. I'm going to go with Arsenal to win the league. As a Man United fan, I don't particularly like that, but it's the lesser of two evils. I don't like City either, and I certainly don't like Liverpool. But yeah, I'll go with City second, obviously, unless this whole 115 charges thing does play any kind of role and there is punishment given this season. If it's a big points deduction, then who knows? Maybe City are the team relegated. We're going to have to wait and see on that. But as for Man United's position, I don't think it's all the doom and gloom that everybody makes it out to be. They're not going to win the league, but it's not the doom and gloom that everybody makes it out to be. And I've got them in the top 4. However, I don't see them in third. But out of Chelsea and Liverpool, I can't really decide between the two who I would put above them. So I'll put United in third simply based on that. I can't see who else ends above them, and I'll put Liverpool in fourth. That gives me Chelsea in fifth, Nick.
Okay, I mean, everyone's to their own. I think you're crazy, but you may be right at the end of the season. I didn't go through my whole list, so
No, go for it.
I've got Man City winning. The inevitable runners-up Arsenal. I've got Liverpool in third place because I think Arne Slot, after just watching a couple of the pre-season friendlies, looks like he's going to be doing similar kind of sort of football, playing similar football as Jurgen was, that type of aggressive football. Man United, fourth for me. I don't rate Ten Hag. I don't think he's the right guy for the job, but I do think that they will have a reasonable season. Definitely no higher than fourth. Then I've got nobody mentions them, but I've got Aston Villa to come in at fifth. I think Unai Emery has been absolutely brilliant. If it wasn't for them having to compete in the Champions League, I'd have them in place of Man United in fourth.
Okay.
They've also got a number of players who they lost last season, all coming back, 3 or 4 players, key players. So it's going to feel like they've got new signings to bolster the squad. I'm going to go Tottenham next. I like Big Ange. You know, he has to change his way, and he probably will next season a little bit. They've just bought Solanke, which doesn't really get the heartbeat racing, and I don't think he's a proper fill-in for Harry Kane, but they seem to think he's the right guy for the job. Then I'm going to go Chelsea. Who knows? It's a
Wow.
circus.
Wow.
Yeah,
Everybody, just please
you know,
note, I had Chelsea higher than Nick did.
I mean, but let's be realistic. You see, you're going on emotion.
I am.
I look at Chelsea and I see a Yankee circus. You know,
Uh-huh.
we've got a squad of 40 odd players, and we've
I
got
know.
6 goalkeepers. Yeah, I mean, you know, and now they're buying another midfielder. Like where are they going to put all these guys?
Yeah.
It's a circus. So, but the thing is that I like Enzo Maresca. I like what he's done at Leicester. I love the way he plays, you know, the game. And I think Chelsea could be a bit of a surprise package. But I wouldn't put money on them. And then last but not least, to come in underneath that lot, I'm going West Ham United. I think now with a new coach and a
Wow.
couple of signings, they're a decent proposition.
All right.
Oh
So
wow.
West Ham
Okay.
would be your overachievers for the season, then, I would gather.
West Ham, and I also think, and there's not much to it, but I also think Fulham aren't going to be relegation. They're going to be up there in the top half of the table.
Okay. Just rounding up your top 8 there, Jeremy.
Okay, so I've still got City obviously at the top. I've got Arsenal and Liverpool second and third. I've got Spurs in fourth. I've got United in fifth. I've got Chelsea in sixth, and I've got Villa down to seventh, with West Ham coming in at 8. So that's my top 8. I guess it would make for. I mean, I don't know how Man United would respond to that kind of prediction. I mean, it's an improvement on where they placed last time, so maybe they'll go. You know, we did pretty well, and you know they may very well be happy. Unlike Nick, I'm happy with the fact that they've stuck with Ten Hag. I think that you know there isn't a big name manager now who didn't start with a bit of a wobble. And I mean, I try to sort of console myself with the fact that United ran a period of really bad injuries and unavailability of players, and still managed to somehow, firstly, place you know top 8, which is really nothing, but then force themselves into the FA Cup and come away with. I mean, shall we call it a lucky win? But the fact is a win nonetheless. So of course they've
into
got
the Europa League, something.
into European competition, exactly, which will certainly pay somebody's bills out at United.
Certainly better than the Conference League, hey, Nick?
Oh, please, just no interest in. I'm not even going to watch that. Not interested in it.
So I mean, I think that you know Man United are in the conversation because we expect them to do better than they have done the last couple of seasons. But I think that there's too many strong managers and people who are guiding the other teams, you know, in the Premier League for this season. Nick talks about Big Ange, and I mean, you know, I think that he's got a lot to offer. He's got to learn how to adjust his style. But I mean, the fact is that he is no mug. And so he will bring a lot of good common sense and a bit of aggression. I quite like the fact that he's ready to combat at the drop of a hat. So he'll bring that to a Spurs environment where hopefully that's why I'm sort of picking them to have learnt their lessons from last time and to find themselves in a better position at the end of the season.
All right, so rounding up mine, it would be Aston Villa 6th, Tottenham 7th, and Newcastle 8th. I've been watching a lot of these prediction videos, and a lot of people have got Tottenham quite high. I don't know, I just don't see it. They've gone through season after season of disappointment. I just don't see it. In fact, I would have Tottenham as my underachiever of the season, in all honesty. Who would you say is going to have a troubling season?
I think the thing is that if Ange continues with his ridiculous tactics. I mean, I remember last season watching Chelsea going to really bad Chelsea going to the Tottenham Stadium, and I think we won it. I can't remember, was it about 5 or 6-1 or whatever it was? It was just ridiculous because even when they went down to 9 or 10 men, he still had his defenders on the halfway line, and he just
I remember.
refuses to change. And I think he said in subsequent interviews and before this season that don't expect big changes tactically. You cannot play football like that in the Premier League. If
No,
he does, they're going to be the big losers
absolutely. Jay?
for me.
So, I mean, look, in terms of disappointment, I would say that, any of the teams that have just come in that get relegated, I mean, other than, of course, all of the big name teams that we've already just sort of rattled off their names. But I think that if you've got a scenario where Southampton gets relegated or Leicester gets relegated, I think that for me would be a disappointment. I'm expecting them to hold their own. They've certainly got the know-how. And you would think the personnel to be able to survive. They've certainly got the experience, the knowledge. So for me, that would be a disappointment to see them in and out, in the same season. And then, I mean, the teams that I think, I think will do well this season. I'm expecting an improved performance from Man United. I'm talking up the fact that Ten Hag is staying. So, with that said, I'm expecting him to win back a lot of the dressing room and to get the results that United fans are asking for. Number one. Number two, I think that, and I think Nick mentioned it, I think that Aston Villa is a team that it's too late now. The secret's out. They're a good team, and I think that we may very well see some continued improvement from their side.
I've got to say, nobody's talking about Crystal Palace. The back end of last season and the storming finish that they had last season. It just reminds me a little bit of when Leicester won the league. If you remember, they got out of the relegation zone with this monster end to the season, and then they went on to win the league. Very surprising. Now, I'm not saying Crystal Palace are going to win the league. I'm not even saying they'll be top 8. But if anybody's got a chance to be in that top 8, I've got to go with either West Ham or Crystal Palace. And I know that might sound like a shock to many, and we'll have to wait and see. I just think if their current form continues, well, we'll be in for quite an upset.
Even though they're selling their best players.
Well, that's the thing. It is really coming down to that. But I like what the manager's done since he's been there, and I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the same could be said for many clubs. I mean, even though Chelsea are bringing in 10, it's too many cooks, isn't it? So I don't know.
I mean, there's still time to go now before the end of the transfer window, and
Yeah.
you never know. One or two players for any particular team can sort of just push them into a different space. So difficult to make final predictions now.
Yeah.
But I think you'll find it's one thing's for sure. My team's getting nowhere near it.
Yeah, you see, that'll be a clippable moment when if they win the league next season.
Yeah.
My team's getting nowhere near.
Paulie, just a question, just a scenario that goes: if Jurgen Klopp hadn't left Liverpool, would they be a contender to go on and win the league this season?
I would think so, because I think they may have acted differently in the transfer window. I think Slot is kind of saying, this is what we have, let's see how we do, and maybe some changes coming in January just to plug a few holes. But I think he needs to see what he's working with at the moment. So to be honest with you, Klopp would have already known that, and I think maybe it would have been a 3-way battle for the title next season had Klopp stayed, I'm sure.
Just a sort of an extension of that is that so in comes a new manager. I mean, Slot's no idiot either, but he comes in into a big name club that don't know him. The players don't know him. And will we see Liverpool really struggle, and will we see them drop way down the standings? I was
also wondering about that. I can't see that happening, and I don't know if this is just because I'm a Man United fan and I want Liverpool. It'll sound like I'm just anti-Liverpool if I go and put them too low. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I was very conservative in putting United still above Liverpool. But that's why I wanted Tara in this discussion, to be honest, but she's sick, shame. So I hope you feel better soon. But Nick, what do you think?
as I was saying, I think like Harris, I've been fantasizing that they disappear for another 30 years because I
Me
can't
too.
bear the racket they make. I mean, last season, and you guys will bear witness this, from the time we're going to win the quadruple, like it was going mad. And I said they'll be lucky to win one trophy, and they did, and it was a shit one. So, I don't, I actually share a lot of affinity with their fans politically, but I hate Liverpool as a club. And I know hate's a strong word, and you're all saying, but I hate everyone except Chelsea. I hope that they don't do well, as with
Nick,
Manchester United as well.
yeah,
no,
You've
thanks,
still got
guys.
Nick, we miss talking to you.
Liverpool got Van Dijk, the biggest donkey in the most overrated defender of all time. Anthony, it's horrible.
It's almost appropriate that your line was actually breaking up then when you said that.
Yeah.
How was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I thought you were swearing and we were bleeping it.
Just repeat that.
Well, I don't know which bit. What do you mean about who?
About
Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's the most overrated defender in the Premier League. I think he's a donkey. And I think you had a good opening 2 seasons or so, and he's been useless ever since. And if you watch him and analyze his game and break down his movement and the goals he's been responsible for over the last season, you've got to be, if you're a Liverpool fan, you will agree with me. He's absolutely not a great player. So I fantasize every day of Liverpool going down the shoot hole, along with Manchester United as well.
Listen, I'm not sure how much of this we can actually put out with a sign behind me. So,
well, I didn't say anything right. I said shoot hole.
He said shoot hole, man.
Oh, shoot hole. Okay, that's what I heard too.
I mean, I just wish that Nick would tell us how he really feels, but I mean that's fine. Let him just mumble to himself over there.
Nick, don't keep it all in. Let it out sometimes.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Let it out, pal. Let it out.
Guys, thank you so much,
guys.
and good luck for the season. And Jeremy and I obviously supporting the same club, so yay, Jay.
Yeah, let's do it, pal.
Fantastic.
Yeah, bad luck for the season, guys. And see you on the other end.
Bad luck, Nick.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers, lads. Up yours,
Ciao.
Nick.